In the hospitality world, excellence, it's not something that just happens by chance. It's actually designed. It's architected. And the real blueprint for that, well, that's your strategic training objectives. If you get these wrong, your dreams of a 5-star hotel can quickly turn into a 1-star nightmare. So, how do we make sure we build a training program that really truly delivers? Let's dive in and find out.
Hello and welcome. I'm so pleased to welcome all of you, the students of Europe Hotel School, to your online learning journey. Now, before we really get into the nuts and bolts of today's topic, I want to touch on something important. The hospitality industry is changing fast, right? We've got technology, we've got AI, but at the end of the day, it's all about people. And that's why training those people effectively is more critical than ever before. So that's exactly what we're going to unpack today.
Okay, so here's a quick look at our roadmap for this session. We're going to start with the high cost of ambiguity. Then we'll talk about how objectives act as a bridge. After that, we'll get into the blueprint for excellence, look at how to engage the modern learner, and finally, we'll connect it all to the business impact. Let's get started. All right, first up, the high cost of ambiguity. We're talking about why vague goals can lead to some seriously wasted resources and, even worse, inconsistent service. I mean, think about it. In this industry, one tiny slip-up can completely change a guest's experience. So when your training goals are fuzzy, well, it's a recipe for disaster. It's not just inefficient, it's incredibly expensive, wasting time, money, and, you guessed it, leaving you with unhappy guests.
So let's make this crystal clear. Look at the difference on this slide. On one side, you have this vague goal. Improve service. Okay, sounds nice, but what on earth does that actually mean? It's really just a wish, right? It's not a plan. Now look at the other side. A clear objective. Reduce guest check-in errors by 25% by the end of the quarter. See the difference? It's specific, it's measurable, it gives the whole team a clear target. And that right there is the difference between just hoping for the best and actually planning for success.
So that brings us to our next big idea. The objective as a bridge. Think of it as the link between your needs analysis and the actual actionable training. The big question is always, okay, we found a problem, now what? Well, the training objective is the what. It's that crucial bridge that takes you from seeing a skill gap to building a training program that really fixes it.
So let's get a formal definition on the table. A training objective is basically a statement that lays out exactly what employees should know, be able to do, or demonstrate after they finish their training. It's not just about technical skills, though, and this is so important in hospitality. It also has to cover those behavioral expectations. The smile, the welcoming tone, that special something that makes a guest feel truly cared for.
And this slide breaks down the process perfectly. It all starts with step 1, the needs analysis. This is where you figure out, okay, where are the skill gaps? Then comes the most important part for our discussion, step 2, objective setting. This is where you take those gaps and translate them into concrete outcomes. Only then can you move to step 3 and start designing your training activities. See how that works? That objective in the middle is the absolute key. It's the linchpin that holds the whole thing together.
Okay, so we've covered the what and the why. Now let's get into the how. This section is all about the blueprint for excellence, the core principles you absolutely need to build effective objectives. Let's get into it.
I want you to think about this like an architect designing a building. You need a solid foundation, and in our case, that foundation rests on 4 key pillars. First up is clarity. Is it crystal clear what performance you expect? Next, measurability. Can you actually measure success and hold people accountable? The third pillar is alignment. Does this objective actually reflect your brand standards and the day-to-day realities of your hotel? And finally, pillar number 4, flexibility. Because let's be honest, things in a hotel change constantly, and your objectives have to be able to adapt.
Okay, so we've been talking a lot from the management and organizational side of things. But let's flip the script for a second. What about the employee? Because you can have the most perfectly crafted objective in the world, but if your team isn't engaged, it's all for nothing. That's what this next section is about, engaging the modern learner and making training truly meaningful for your people.
And this really hits the nail on the head. Adult learners are more engaged when objectives are meaningful and achievable. It's just a fundamental truth about how we learn. We're not kids in school anymore. We need to understand the why. Why am I learning this? How will this help me? When your team can see a clear line between the training and their ability to do their job better, or even advance their career, that's when you get real buy-in. An objective becomes more than just a target. It becomes a personal reason to engage and to care.
All right, let's take this one step further. We're now connecting to business impact. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just about running a few successful training workshops. This is about driving the success of the entire business. A really well-crafted objective creates a direct, undeniable link between what happens in the training room and what happens on the profit and loss statement.
And you don't have to take my word for it. The data speaks for itself. Look at the long-term impact here. When your training is strategic, when it's built on clear objectives, what happens? Guest satisfaction goes up. Error reduction, that goes up too. Well, the reduction part does, which means errors go down. And maybe most importantly, employee retention improves. You have a team that is skilled, confident, and wants to stay with you. It really is a win-win-win.
So if there's one thing I really want you to take away from all this, it's this idea right here. Linking your objectives to these bigger outcomes reinforces the strategic value of your training. This means that setting objectives isn't just some administrative task you hand off to HR or the training manager. No way. It's a core leadership function. When you do this right, you literally transform training from something that feels like a cost into what it truly is, a powerful engine for growth.
So I'll leave you with this final thought, a question to really mull over. Your training is an investment. So, what is its return? The next time you're planning any kind of training, I want you to ask yourself that. Is this just an expense we have to cover, or is it a true investment? Because when you build it on a foundation of clear strategic objectives, you're not just spending money. You're investing in your people, you're investing in your brand, and you are investing in your future. And the return on that investment, well, that's excellence.